Hey guys, this is Project Life week 33 and I'm doing something a tiny bit different today. I grabbed this Honey and Spice 6x6 paper pad from Spotlight the other day and I thought it worked nicely with the kind of neutral warm tones that I have in my photos this week. So I want to use this and so what I did was put together a little mini kit to go with it. So I've just grabbed a few things. These are all out of my stash. I started with, obviously, my Honey and Spice stamps, the alpha stamps. Love them. They're going to go perfectly with the paper pad. I also grabbed a couple of other stamp sets from Kelly Stamps. These are both older ones. This Girl and Ugh. There's a few photos on here, so I grabbed both of those stamp sets. Kind of fun, like general sort of everything is not best day ever stamp sets, one of my favorite kinds. I also grabbed a few other kind of little embellishments. So I grabbed an alpha set. These are sort of foam alphas from Pink Paisley. They're really really pretty wood grain and they're foam, and the foam is sort of a pinky color, a warm kind of pinky color. I grabbed these gold puffy sticker hearts from Ellie Studios. These are super old. I've hardly used any, as you can see. Time to make a dent in them. And I also grabbed this, is it Willow Lane? I've got like this one set, one sheet of stickers from the sticker book left. They are clear stickers with black printing. Super hard to get off the backing. So that will be fun to add directly to my photos. And the last thing I grabbed was just a few tags in different sort of shades. This one, the yellows kind of match my photos more than they do the actual paper pad, but I'm okay with that. So I'm going to get started. So the first thing I want to do is just pick out some of these pattern papers. And I kind of want to try to focus on the yellow that's in there. There's a few little yellow spots in my photos. Obviously the COVID-19 update, my hoodie, even some in the donuts. And there isn't a whole lot of yellow in this pad. So I pulled out the one paper that's kind of like a yellow, it's kind of a randomy spot sort of pattern. And I will say the yellow in that pattern is definitely more on the sort of green side than it is the sort of bright lemony yellow in my photos, but I still think it works really nicely. And the thing I loved about this paper pad and the reason I wanted to use it is just because of some of the other neutrals in here. So that looks like a sort of grey pattern. I've added the 3x4 card. It's actually like a black and white really geometric pattern, which I loved, so I popped that in there. I thought it worked really nicely with that COVID-19 graphic, and I have also picked out a really dark green grid down the bottom, sort of a grid. I don't know what you call it when it's diamonds rather than squares. Normally I wouldn't go for something quite that dark, but I really liked the way it kind of balanced some of the other colors, the darker pops of color in some of these photos. This is from week 33. It is still a little bit dark. My photos are still a little bit dark, and so this just kind of balances it out nicely. Now I did, I'm not even going to call it cheap because I didn't say I was going to exclusively use this kit, but I did grab out a really plain 3x4 card. It literally just has a grid on one side and lines on the other. The lines and grid are yellow, and I'm pretty sure it's an Ellie Studio card. It was just like a neutral sort of pack of cards, all different colors. I still have not used them all, so I'm going to use a yellow one here. So this is the sort of base layout here, and I did add one tiny sticker. I knew I wanted to use that sticker when I pulled out that Willow Lane sticker sheet that says together. I love using those clear stickers on photos, and I know you could definitely replicate that look by using digital stamps on your photos before you go ahead and print them. I don't tend to do that an awful lot because I don't necessarily know how my spread is going to come together before I start working on it. It's the reason I don't tend to use digital stamps like that. But this layout did get me thinking that what I should do is print some of my digital stamps onto like clear sticker paper and make my own stickers like that. I think that would be a really fun thing to do. Now I'm working on my title card. I didn't really have any idea what I was going to do with the title card, except that I had popped this kind of craft colored tag up there. I added the other 2 tags that I had picked out for my kit. I added them in a couple of other spots on the page, so I liked the idea of using 3. Funny that, isn't it? And so one of these ended up on my title card, which is probably a good base to add my stamps to, because that pattern is quite busy. So having this little tag as a base does kind of give me a space to work with. So I'm going to use the Honey and Spice Alpha stamps. I'm going to mix up the letters here, and I am kind of going to cheat, and I'm going to stamp the whole word in one go. And I think that was possibly a little bit of a mistake. If I had stamped things one at a time, I might have had a little bit more room left over for numbers. Now there are no numbers on this stamp set, so I'm going to use these alphas for the numbers. And I knew that they're little alphas, but they're probably a little bit bigger than I imagined they were. So I struggled to kind of fit the spacing in here a little bit. If I had stamped those letters individually, I might not have had that issue. In the end, I lined them up with the bottom of the K, and then I'm just going to stamp my dates just directly underneath that. I did end up sort of masking one off, and it didn't stamp particularly straight, but it's close enough. And that's my title card done there. I've got these gold puffy sticker hearts. I just wanted to add a little one to fill in that gap because I had to put those numbers down the bottom, and it all works out nicely. Again, this one here, this tag, I grabbed it, I can't think of the brand, from Spotlight, and it's not cardstock at all. It is completely really thin paper, and so I accidentally stuck it onto the photo. It's a little bit of an angle and much higher up than I probably would have had it. But it's paper, so there's no way I'm going to be able to rip it off. I'm just going with it. While I had that scrap of paper out, I decided I would use the scrap of paper to stamp this kind of stamp / embellishment that I'm going to use on my gin and tonic photo here. It says "This girl needs a drink." This is a super old set from Kelly Stamps, and that particular stamp, I should note it on the front of the stamp set maybe. The actual stamp impression of the clear stamp has a little kind of divot in it, so it never stamps perfectly sort of flat, and when I stamped it onto that thin paper, it was definitely noticeable. So I get around that by stamping it onto a mat of some sort, anything to give you a little bit more sort of pressing power, and that just happens to be my mouse pad, and it works perfectly fine. You can see the second time I got a really good impression, and I just stamped that onto the back of one of the scrap papers from the 6x6 pad that I've already cut out. Now I add that little, you can hardly see it, another little clear sticker. It says "Adore" on that picture of Lil. I knew I wanted to use that one there as well, and I kind of changed my mind about this photo. I remember at the time I had like a completely different plan for this, which I can't even quite remember what it was now, but when I pulled out the stamp set, I love that sort of speech bubble with the real talk in it, and I decided I would just repeat that same thing that I did with the "This girl needs a drink," which is just to stamp it in black, stamp it on some scrap paper, and stick it on top of my photo, kind of making my own little die cut embellishments, and I really like that. You can place it wherever you want. The great thing about it is I'm not like accidentally stamping it in the wrong place. I can get really specific about where that's going before I go ahead and stick that down. Now this is where it became apparent to me that I had stuck this white tag sort of way higher than I had wanted it to. I was just going to stamp one of these Kelly stamps on it, and I'm going to end up with a whole lot of kind of white space underneath it that I didn't really intend to do. But it definitely does not bother me enough to like reprint a photo. Like, it takes a lot for me to have to reprint a photo, like a really big mistake. Most of the time I just kind of deal with it. It is what it is, because the cost of printing a photo just doesn't tend to be worth my annoyance with it. So this one here, I am stamping directly on to the photo. I love doing that, and that honey and spice stamp set is really fun for doing that because it's kind of a distressed looking alpha anyway, so the you don't have to stamp perfectly, which works out really nicely. I decided to add a little gold heart to where that adore sticker is on the photo of Lil, just to help it stand out a tiny bit more. And I'm going to work on this last 4x6 card here. So this is where I've got my giant yellow tag to add a little bit more yellow to this page. I almost made a mistake and I didn't realize the tag wasn't stuck down, so I stuck my photo to the tag and then stuck the whole lot to the background paper, and I am just going to add kind of a little title on here. So I used again one of those clear stickers that says happy, and I'm adding the word place in here with those same wood grain alphas. Love those. And I just stepped back for a second and decided to have a little shuffle around because I wanted to add the actual temperature onto my freezing cold frost photo here, -5 degree frost. Not happy. There are no dashes in this alpha set, so I'm just trimming down an I. But the reason I swapped those around is I didn't want to have those wood grain alphas with the temperature and the wood grain alphas with the word place directly on top of each other. So I just swapped those 3x4 photos, and then I went ahead and did my journaling just with my typewriter, and I didn't use any kind of background paper, so the typewriting's a little bit wonky towards the bottom. There's a big space at the top, but I just added to the bottom with a little sticker and another gold heart, and then called this layout All Done. Let me know in the comments whether you ever put together little mini kits like this for a spread. I really love it. It gives me the perfect excuse to use up some of those newer products that I've accidentally purchased. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you want to keep watching, there are a couple more videos on screen. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Bye guys.